Hello YouTube, welcome back to yet another Neverness Elven's video. Today we're going to talk about the character Chiz that you can get for free in the game. Chiz is an on-field Cosmo type main DPS, and this video we're going to go through like a character guide for her. So hopefully enjoy the video. Alright, so for this particular video we're going to look into Chiz's main mechanic, and then her different awakenings, her best arc and console, and then finally her team composition and her rotation. Alright, Chiz's mechanic is called Grains. It's represented by the bar right above your HP bar and the number in the middle. Everyone starts with 0, just like life. The way to gain Grains is through normal attack, jump attack, and even evasion. A special mention to Chiz's whole attack, because this is not only you can grains but also fonts. And you can look at the details of how much you have gained in your character sheets. So why do we collect grains? Because it empowers your E and your Q. If you look down here, your E has 3 charges represented by the 3 right dots. Your E deal damage based on how many grains you currently have. So in this case, I've just used my E. I have around 10,000 grains and I deal around like 8,000 something damage to the enemy. That number is lower because it's affected by Chiz's Cosmo damage buff and the enemy's resistances. Your E bonus damage will only take effect when you are in the surplus, meaning your number in the middle is like in positive. So this is Chiz's like first E, this is just tapping the E. And then it affects your first and second rotation. They both get buffed by the number of gains that you have. The higher your gains, the greater the damage, as revealed by the details in the character sheet. The damage is like 1-to-1. Alright, that was Chiz's first E, which was just tap. Chiz has the second E, which is to hold, but it only works when you have more than two charges. And if you quickly drain your available grains, moving you into the negative, as you can see now in my bar down above my HP. And trust me, you don't want to go into the negative. It's very hard to get back into positive. As someone who is in that in real life, I understand that very well. And I died in game. So maybe a like and a follow for my sad situation, financial situation in real life. But the good time when you use this is I use it as a kind of a finisher, because you gain 3 times the bonus damage from your normal tap E when you use the spinny circle attack, whole E attack. So I only recommend it you use it kind of like a second ultimate to when you know that you're about to finish the match or when you're about to die. Chiz's Q is very special because she turns your normal gains bar into something that looks like a stock market with like up and low and up and low. The gameplay is basically like playing Dance Dance Evolution, if you are familiar with that. I find it to be quite fun, if I say so myself. Basically, your Q instantly increase your gains to the normal maximum, which is 10k, and can go higher and higher. And whenever you hit E when it's at the peak, it will increase your gains again, thus increasing more damage. And you will keep all the grains that you retain doing your Q. So it's also an important way to instantly gain a lot of grains when you start a combat, because we start with 0. So here's a summary of what we have learned so far about Chiz's main mechanic, which is grains. So you want your number to be always in the positive, and red numbers are bad. And then your normal attack and other normal attack variation gains grains very slow, and then your Q, your ultimate instant gain for the grains. And then your E damage, both kinds are dependent on how many grains you have. And during your out, when the market charts hits go up, you want to hit E, because your E is dependent on green. So when you hit E, your damage output is going to be high. Something I didn't mention is that your E cannot crit, and then your first hit of your Q will 100% crit every time. Alright, now we're going to look at Chiz's Awakening. There are some quite easy to understand ones, so we'll go through them quickly. Your Awakening 1 increase your maximum grain capacity by 10%, so increase your maximum damage because like your E depends on that. And then Awakening 4 increases how fast you acquire grain. Awakening 6 increases the bonus Cosmo damage of green of your E. So those are three quite simple to understand awakening. Alright, this is Chiz Awakening 2, which is you can gain green passively when you're in combat. So if I just don't hit anyone, I will still continue to gain greens, as you can see down below. That's Awakening 2, a passive income of greens. Alright, this is Chiz Awakening 5. Pay special attention to my green bar. Because Awakening 5 is once you enter combat, your greens will instantly go up to maximum, which is very nice. For your Awakening 3, it affects your Q, your ultimate. It gives you more chance of your ultimate having peaks. Well, for Chiz Awakening, her A5 and A1 buffs her EQ and damage output quite quickly. So for her priority, you want to go for 5 and then 1, and then 3 for out, and then 6 for the bonus Cosmo damage, and then 4 and then 2. 5 and 1 is like the most important. The rest, the other 4 is like whatever order they come is like doesn't really matter. About Chiz arcs, it's a good news because you can get the arc for free as well, similar to Chiz. We get her the same way through the City Tycoon level. So you can see here when you'll be able to get the arc and Chiz. So you get Chiz at like level 18, and then you get the arc at level 21. Then here you see like all the multiple copies of Chiz and her arc. So that is how you get her arc. And that is, don't need to think about anything else. This is free anyway. So just put this arc on her, Contemplative Cat. So one thing to note about Chiz arc is that it increases her Cosmo damage by every, I think that's like 100,000 fonts, up to 10 stat. So the minimum fonts, if you want to play Chiz, that you have to carry in your backpack should be 1 and then 60. I think it's 1 million fonts. I'm not good with math, even though I'm Asian. I'm here to break the stereotype. So yeah, you have to have at least 1 and then 60 fonts in your backpack to maximize the Cosmo damage buff by 25%. Right, for Chiz's build, her arc is Contemplative Cat. There's no reason not to pick that. That's her best. And it's also free. For console, because Chiz is a Cosmos damage dealer, so you want Lost Radiance. For the win set, you want Cosmos damage because her E doesn't crit, and then her Q is guaranteed crit on the first hit. So don't really care about like crit rate and crit damage. So just focus all in on Cosmos damage. Alright, lastly, for the last segment about Chiz team comm and rotation. Chiz actually is a capitalist, and capitalist doesn't like to work with others. So her team, she can just work alone. She doesn't need like any other support. But you can put like the standard support like Hanil and Sakiri if you want to. But she can work perfectly fine alone. For Chiz rotation, you want to start with your Q to go into the market mode. Then when it peaks, you want to hit your E to get the damage from that. And after it's over, just hit E 2 times to use all the damage buff from that of your already maximized greens from your Q. And then just keep on normal attacking and then put in E whenever you can. Just like E and normal attack, E and normal attack. And when your Q is up, use your Q. This is basically what she does. And when you see that combat is about to end, it's time to use your whole E. And like deal large damage on that. Spinny, spinny, spinny. Alright, that's the end of the video for the character Chiz in the game Neverness to Everness. Hopefully we can rise to the top, similar to Chiz in this short story, being the champion. So as a free character, I'm really enjoying her a lot. I don't know what you feel and what other characters do you want to do want me to do a guide on. Please drop me in the comments, or if you have any question, feel free to write there as well. Alright, and I hope you guys have a nice day. Bye bye everyone. Take care of yourselves.